Hi everyone, welcome to your webinar today on being job short, or rather not being job short, because me going around with a t-shirt saying, woohoo, my pipeline is a complete mess, I have no jobs to work on. Said nobody ever. That's not really what we want to happen. So we are looking today at giving you some tips to help you maximize and optimize the volume of jobs you're working, and ideally from Bullhorn, because spending all day trying to do cold BD sometimes is necessary, absolutely, but actually it might not be as necessary as you think. So let's crack on. So I want to hear from you today in terms of what word you want to be describing this quarter as. A poll is about to pop up, and I want you just to put one word in that you want to use to describe January, February, March this year when you get to the end, but you're looking back and you're going, this is what I want to have described this month as, or this quarter as. Chuck your words in. So that's good. Thank you very much, everybody. It's always good taking the temperature and also just making sure that you're all awake on the webinar today. So let's move forward. So some of you have met us before. Some of the people on the webinar today are our clients, past, present, maybe future. So always remember, guys and gals, we are not just Bullhorn trainers. I mean, we're pretty good at that. And we're told we're pretty much the best. We do some fantastic, what we call WIFM, what's in it for me training, but we do a lot of recruitment training as well, and anything that's in the Bullhorn sphere as well. On top of that, we're big fans of you maximizing the revenue you can generate from Bullhorn and absolutely optimizing how Bullhorn can help you do it. So that's our Bullhorn ROI model. And we also do a load on automation, and that really does get us quite excited in terms of what it's capable of doing. So don't forget that that's what we do. And often during these webinars, you'll hear us talking about kind of all three of those things. So grab your little camera phones, your mobile phones, your cell phones, and quickly snap that QR code, because our next webinar is all about clean data. Part one was a couple of weeks ago where we talked about the concept of it and how it could make you money. And then we're getting right down to the dirty end of how to build automations to clean your data, not just your old data, but data that you've not even put on your system yet. So that's what the next webinar is all about. So be sure to register for that one as well. And this is really good that these automation webinars, by the way, are great even if you don't have automation, because automation now, if you're a new Bullhorn client, you'll be getting automation as standard. And if you're an existing Bullhorn client, you're probably thinking about it. And a lot of the webinars that we do on automation will really help you build that business case. If you do already have automation and you really want to take it to the next level, again, these webinars are fantastic for that as well. And at the end of this webinar, we'll ask you what other webinars you'd like to attend. We've got our 1 minute tips and we'll speed through these. So again, grab your camera phones and take a picture of that, because that will take you onto our website with all of our 1 minute tips, and they're 1 minute and there's lots of tips in there around sourcing, screening, using LinkedIn, how to weaponize Bullhorn, how to clean your data, how to manage backdoor placements, all sorts of really, really neat, cool recruitment tips for you today as well. So we're fixated today on how you are going to maximize getting jobs. Just absolutely say that if you've been using Bullhorn a while, you might do some of this stuff already. It would be expected. I'd be wondering what you've been doing. Did you just buy it and then just leave it in the box? But sometimes I always say lean in. Maybe tips 1 through 4, you've already got that nailed, but tip 5 is the thing. Or maybe you used to do tip number 3 and you've kind of forgotten about it, and now all of a sudden it's really relevant. Because the one thing I've learned in my 25 years of recruitment is you can't sit still. Just when you think you've got your pipeline cracked and how to manage your candidates and clients pools, they adapt. Bit like children, they adapt, and you've got to kind of rethink how you do things and maybe dig deep and try some of the brilliant basics that you might have learned in the beginning. So lean into some of these tips and hold on tight as well for a little tip at the end. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to the team and then I'll jump in and out, and we're going to start a poll, aren't we, guys?
Yeah. So we'd like to know where you currently source your jobs from first. So we've got LinkedIn at 14%. We have got Bullhorn actually out in the lead at about 36% at the moment. So that's pretty good. Closely followed by LinkedIn and job boards, I would say. Fabulous. And then referrals. Lovely. Thank you for that. Get that poll closed.
The thing to consider, and the reason why we are very much a Bullhorn first company, is not because we think that Bullhorn is the most perfect system that will also make your coffee while you're making placements. No system out there is going to do that for you, okay? But it does do enough. And what it should also do is really help you focus your time and attention in the right places. So the one thing I always find is whether you're sourcing candidates outside Bullhorn or sourcing sales outside Bullhorn, you might be wasting your time. We know, for example, on average, that if you source candidates from your Bullhorn system rather than externally, you'll place them 20 days quicker, which is a significant improvement on the 60 days average if you're placing candidates from outside of Bullhorn. And the same really goes for BD. If you just whack your enter button for me, Max, we've got a reveal popping up, which I know everyone's on the edge of their seat for. There you go. So I'm a big fan of, I said to one of my team the other day, I'm a big fan of cheating. Big fan of cheating. Or you could maybe use another word of being smart, being clever, being effective. Because why find loads of jobs that other recruiters are going to be working? Why find loads of jobs that maybe have been posted that might have already been placed, when actually what you could be doing is sourcing BD opportunities and leads from within data that you've already got on your system, even if it's incredibly dirty. I don't want any recruiter in the current market wasting time, especially 50% of it. I don't want you equally bleeding over your keyboards to get a deal. There are easier ways to do that. And that's what today is really, really all about. The other thing I really want you to be thinking about as well is, I have been in the market a while, and I know Matt and Rose have as well. And what I am personally not seeing enough of is people really weaponizing their tech and their data to become better. I've seen in the last 25 years more tech, more data, and a distinct lack of process. And the 360-degree model really buckling under the weight of all of that. So in theory, recruitment it's never been easier in theory. You've got all these fantastic tools, but in my personal reality of the businesses that we often work with, it's literally lots of busyness as opposed to effectiveness. So I want you to be thinking, while Rose and Matt are showing you these tips, if you could save time and do more BD from your Bullhorn system, what would you do with that time? Now, I know all of you are going to say, I don't need any more holidays. I don't want to go to the spa every Friday. I don't want to clock off work at noon on a Friday and go to the pub instead. I want to really invest more time in my recruitment process. Of course, she says. She's obviously been on the gin today. I just at least look at your recruitment life cycle and say, where would you reinvest that time? An age-old model is too much time sourcing, not enough time screening, and then the recruitment process fails at some stage down the line because maybe we've not screened out the candidates that weren't worthy of us. And the same could be said for when we're qualifying our jobs, when we're doing some proper BD. If we're not investing the right level of time at the beginning, or we're spending too much time looking for stuff that we're never going to fill, the pipeline becomes really ragged. It's really obvious, isn't it, when you think about it like that? So think about all of this while you're having these tips today. And let's hand over to who's doing the first one, guys.
That'll be me. And so our first tip we want to talk about is advanced note searching. And this is actually one of Rose's favorites. And the thing with advanced note searching is it's a really quick, really simple, easy way for you to create those call lists for your key contacts. So instead of being really super busy, trying to ring through all 977 people on your database just to get one job, what you want to do is speak to those people that actually you have got a relationship with, but you perhaps not checked in with, or it's worth checking in with again. So your advanced note searching, it can actually allow you to, as you can see on screen, I can look up people that I have specifically placed with before, but I've not spoken to within 6 months. Because if I've placed a job with them before, fingers crossed I've done a good job of it. So why wouldn't they want to use me again? Yeah. But if I'm not speaking to them and maintaining that relationship, some other recruiter is going to swoop in there, steal my thunder and steal those opportunities. So use your advanced note searching to find the people that you need to speak to and you need to keep in touch with. And also, if you're one of those people like me who is really guilty of having a very dirty, scrappy bit of paper in front of you full of, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, use your advanced note searching to take the hard work out of it. Yeah. Instead of having to note down, I need to speak to this person in 6 months, run a search, who haven't I spoken to in 6 months, and your call list is right there ready to go. A lot quicker, a lot easier, and it lets you be really targeted with what you're doing.
So hopefully that's of use to you, and I want you to be noting these things down and making sure that you are really maximizing the benefit of those advanced notes, because ultimately otherwise all you're doing is spending lots of time putting stuff on the system and not necessarily getting the system to help you. The thing about BD is it doesn't always have to be new business. Repeat business is incredibly sexy. It's rewarding, it pays better, it's cheaper, and it's also a lot easier. But often the way that we manage our data and the way that we manage our own Bullhorn adoption is we're not necessarily thinking about it. We're just focusing on today's data. So again, in terms of the next few tips, really be thinking about the stats speak for themselves. And the reason these stats are here is to give you the why you need to do this stuff. And also from a referrals perspective, you know, when you're converting candidates to clients and clients to candidates, that's effectively almost like an internal referral, isn't it? You know, you're really using these people throughout their careers and running their businesses and the life cycles of them running their businesses. So think about how you could be using Bullhorn to do that as well.
Fabulous, thank you. And this really, really nicely segues from what Lisa's just said about managing that relationship through. There's a feature in Bullhorn, again, quite underutilized, is creating linked contacts from a candidate. So as soon as you've placed a candidate into a new position, they're likely going to be, you know, you've got that relationship with them, they're likely to be somebody who hopefully you can now recruit for. They know you, they've worked with you, they're happy, you've put them in a role. And if they're going into another management position or a director position, then why not get them on the system as a contact straight away and keep in contact with that person and start building a relationship in their new position and hopefully get some jobs off them. So that's what we can see in the background. It's really nice and easy. You simply, from the candidate record, click on the actions menu and click create link contact. Fill in a few details and away you go. You've got that contact at their new position, ready to get some new jobs and get some business from.
We've just launched a blog today, and it's all about backdoor placements. For those of you who have not come across that terminology before, because it might be a regional thing, this is when a candidate, naughty candidate, goes for an interview with a client. A naughty client takes that candidate on, doesn't tell you about it because they're going in the back door. Do you like my sneaky little stick man there? Wayne recently was asked to speak at the Bullhorn Automation User Group, and he was asked what are his top 3 use cases and business cases for automation and technology. And he basically spoke a little bit about backdoor placements and what the antidote for that is. So grab your little cameras. This blog isn't just for automators, it's not just for leaders, it's for those fabulous recruiters as well, because there is money to be made from deals that you didn't even know you'd done. And I want you to be really considering that. In my younger days, and Rose was with me when we used to do this, we actually had a backdoor placement report that we used to run, and it was in around, it feels like around 2003, 2004, Rose, that we wrote this. And I know we don't look a day over 16, we're so young. Recruitment keeps you young. And what we used to do is we used to run that report on a weekly basis, looking for candidates that had been for interview but had not been placed. And then we used to have a team of people that used to ring those candidates at the employer that they'd had the interview at. And if I said, oh, can I speak to John Smith, who was the candidate that had been for interview, and the receptionist said, yeah, no problem putting you through, phone goes down, recruiter gets called over, backdoor placement time. And we have clients that actually tell us even today they're doing that. It's not sexy because it's a bit disturbing that much is going wrong with the process. But if you only made 1 extra placement per recruiter per year by focusing on backdoor placements, for some of you, that's a lot of money. So I want you to be thinking about using that blog as well as part of your generating more business from within Bullhorn, because you've probably done the deal, you just don't know it. And that blog will really help you with that as well.
And talking of placements, one of the really good things you can do is use your placement list to help you turn 1 placement into 2, or perhaps even 3 or 4. Now, what we mean by this is if you go into your placement list in Bullhorn, it will actually let you see when you've placed people and how long ago that was. And so what that means is if you've placed someone as a junior candidate 2 or 3 years ago, guess what? They're not going to be a junior candidate anymore. Yeah. They might be a senior candidate, which means you could move them into a bigger, better role with a better commission, or they might have been promoted to management. So they need their own team. They need to recruit for themselves. So instead of you just putting that placement in there, forgetting about it, and then that's it, use that placement list to keep track of who you placed 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Nice and simple. Just go into your placement list, use that start date to sort them by ascending or descending, so you can see your oldest placements first, and start moving those what were junior candidates into more senior roles, or if they're already in those more senior roles, get in there and utilize that relationship to try and get more business from them and get more jobs.
Often when we're doing BD, and in traditional language, we'd have a CV, wouldn't we? We'd be flinging it out to people. I certainly remember the good old days, and some of you are old enough to remember this. Letters with stamps on, where we would be sending CVs out and mail shots out to clients. Now, obviously, most of this stuff is electronic now, and I certainly think that is obviously the way to go. But often what we would do is we'd throw enough CVs that are all, and some of them would stick, and we used to make a crazy amount of money from that. Now the market has obviously shifted, and there's a crazy amount of opportunity to absolutely spam the hell out of the marketplace. Now, if any of you have been on my Recruitment Hit training platform, where we've got all of our recruitment training, our sales training, our Bullhorn training, our analytics, our automation, our LinkedIn training, you will have also done our persona mapping training, where we show you how to really get under the skin of clients and really understand their personas. Because funnily enough, would you believe, if you send people stuff that they're likely to want to read, they'll read it. Who knew? And I want you to be thinking about that. CVs are no different. Profiles are no different. Salary surveys, whatever it's going to be that's going to get under the skin of your client so you can wake them up and get them to admit they've got some jobs now. That's a really good use of your time. But in order for you to do that, you really need to understand how they're thinking and feeling. And I don't think you need to be a brain surgeon in order to hire brain surgeons. You just need to understand what their life chances are and what gets them out of bed in the morning. So I want you to be thinking about that with the next tip as well, and really thinking about, do you know enough about your market and how people feel and think, in order that when you are sending them CVs in order to wake them up, because maybe you had a placement with them in a previous life, are you sending them something that they genuinely want or need? Or are you just sending them something that you're trying to sell? And there obviously is a very big difference in that as well.
Lovely, thank you. And then tip number 4 is desired categories and skills, which is fantastic. Exactly what Lisa said. I see this a lot on Bullhorn for clients that we work with, is either not used at all, which is such a shame, and we advise them to start using it quick, or it's used incorrectly. So when we put categories and skills on a candidate, on a contact record, the key's in the title. We're coding the contact with who they desire. So it's not about who they are or what they do, it's the candidates that they desire. And the main benefit of that is you can do exactly what Lisa said. You can reverse search. So when you come in to do any business development, when you've got a CV to send out or an e-shot of a candidate profile that you want to market out to clients, or you need a phone list, a contact list of people to start making calls to, then this is what you should be able to do. Nice and simple. When you get the data on there, you just run a quick contact search for your candidates categories or your candidate skills. So i.e. show me all the contacts that I have that would desire the skills of this candidate that I've just met with or interviewed. Up pops a list, and then you can take it from there. So very speedy, extremely effective if you use it in the right way, and absolutely fantastic for business development and account management.
Stay focused on BD. Stay focused on using your Bullhorn system to try and pull information out to help you really maximize that sale. Because again, I'll repeat these stats. If 50% of your prospecting time is a total waste of time, that's a lot of time that you're wasting for obvious reasons, that you could be reinvesting either in a work-life balance or making more money, whichever you prefer. So stay focused on that, guys.
And on that staying focused, that links really well into our final Bullhorn tip, which is sales contact grading. Now, this is a way to help you focus on those easy wins and on those contacts that are going to make you money. So what we mean by the sales contact grading is you could actually create a custom field on your Bullhorn system to give your sales contacts an A, B, C, D grade. Hell, you could even go to an EFG if you really wanted to. Though you're probably overcomplicating it there. But the idea is, if you've got a client that is paying you a retainer to place them with high quality candidates really quickly, that's someone you want to focus on. If you just see a job on Indeed and you've got no prior relationship with that person, probably less so. Yeah, because you're going to just be, realistically, you're going to be competing against every other recruiter that can see that job board. And you're also having to essentially start from scratch. You've got no terms. There might not even be a credit check done, so it could be a dodgy company. But by using that sales contact grading, it can help you really laser focus in on those contacts that are actually going to make you money and you're going to be able to get quick wins from. So your A grades might be your people who you're on retainer with, or potentially you've got an exclusivity agreement with, because if they like you that much and rate you that highly, they're going to keep giving you business and you're going to keep making money from them. If it's someone that's in your niche, in your area, in your specialty, you've got candidates ready to go into that role, could be a good B-grade contact, because yeah, you might not have the relationship there, but you could use a candidate just to open that door and walk right in there. And you never know, you might end up getting that really good exclusivity agreement there. But then your C-grade contacts, they're the people where realistically you're competing against every other recruiter, which yes, we've got to do sometimes, but we want to focus on the money makers and the easy wins first. Yeah, work smarter, not harder.
Just very quickly, guys, pop into your chat and just give me, put the word grade in if you currently do grade your contacts. I'm really interested to understand if you use the system to do that. Because again, certainly where the world is now, with a lot of people working remotely or hybrid, improving comms and creating a really transparent database has never been more important. Equally, with automation, grading your contacts, grading your data will also enable automation to probably really pinpoint who you want to work with. And God help it, but I'm going to mention AI, because a lot of our clients are using automation to get AI ready. And of course, one of the challenges is if the humans are not automation ready, then there's a bit of a slippery slope to nothing. So really be thinking about that. But yeah, tell me, are you using grading? Put the word grade in your chat. I'm just going to sort of not necessarily talk about it too much, but grades, somebody grades by color. Ooh, loving it. Absolutely. Right, brilliant. I'll shut up.
And our final tip of the day, tip number 6, is our automation tip as always. And on the theme of getting more business and getting more jobs, re-engage passive contacts is probably one of the automations that I know Matt will do the same. We pretty much set up for all of our automation clients because it is so fantastic, and you get so many quick wins off it. It's very similar to an advanced search that Matt talked about earlier in the presentation, but it's got extra turbo on it because it's automation. So effectively, we're looking here for contacts that you've had placements with in the past, but more recently haven't done something with them. So you haven't had any activity, you haven't had a job, you haven't had a submission, you haven't had a placement, for example. Now, the turbo element of automation is, one, it finds them for you, and it can also do a number of things. It's your choice. So lots of my clients and Matt's clients have it set up so it notifies the recruiter internally, and you just turn it on and it just does it for you in the background. You turn it on, forget about it, and it just pings you a notification. Oh, by the way, have you forgotten about Matt Rose? And then it's down to the recruiter to maybe make the telephone calls if that's the way you want to go. Or you might even combine it with an email going straight out to the client as well. So maybe do some even more heavy lifting. Actually, let's just get an email straight out to these contacts and just see how they are. You could even combine it with a survey. There's all sorts of things you can do with this automation. But yeah, really, really fantastic automation that we get set up for most clients. Yeah. So we're going to stick in the chat what your favourite tip is, if that's all right. So if everyone can get typing again and just pop into the chat, you can either write it in or you can stick the number in. It's entirely up to you. That would be great, but it would be good to hear what your favourite tip is. So is it advanced note searching? Is it create linked contact? Is it placement list? Is it desired categories and skills? Is it the sales contact grading? Or is it the automation tip at the end? Matt and I are quite competitive with this as well. So I'd like to know, because he always does odds and I always do evens. So
Right, everybody, that's fantastic. Let's wrap up. So obviously today isn't just about spending 30 minutes with us on a webinar. Hopefully it's grabbing at least one of these items and really, really using it to optimize your desk. And I invented the term 3 T's the other day: your time, your tasks, and your targets. Really think about how you're going to use some of these tips to do that. Evidently, if you don't use Recruitment Hit, you need to have a trial of it. We're giving free trials away. I'll be messaging you outside of this webinar to give you a free trial. And we've got our data webinar in 2 weeks' time, and then another one happening in April. All information will be sent out shortly. So we've already mentioned Recruitment Hit. It is not just Bullhorn training. There's a lot of training on there, whether you're temp, contract, or perm recruiters, MS Teams, social media, Bullhorn, and all the Bullhorn tech as well. And as we've already said, we want to know which webinar you want to have next. If you really could choose, what are the topics that are the closest to your hearts? What are the things that you would really like to get some turbo ideas on? Tick as many as you like. And obviously what we tend to do is we'll take the ones with the most votes and then make sure our content plan reflects that. So we're not, we're really, really focused on what you guys and gals actually need to do. Brilliant. So it'd be wrong of me to not at least tell you a little bit about what we do. So we obviously have training. We obviously have Recruitment Hit as one of our core offerings. Ultimately, what it's there to do is help onboard new starters quicker than if you didn't have it, and also help experienced users as well. Experienced staff really re-engage with their technology more effectively and maybe dig down into some of the more brilliant basics of what a great recruiter is able to do. So that's one of the offerings that we've got. Swiftly followed by our vision. This is personally my favorite offering that we have. We get a lot of great testimonials for this, but ultimately what it's there to do is get a vision of how your business uses Bullhorn and how it recruits, what Bullhorn does for the business, as well as us give you a vision of what it could do. So it's a bit like an MOT if you're into cars, a bit like a health check, if that's a language that you like using, but it also includes training, best practice, WIFM training, what's in it for me training. It includes all of that in there. So we love our vision projects, and as does Tig from Abbreviate, who thought it was great that we did that for him. And we do a lot of work in the automation space. So whether you need training to build automations, or you just want someone to build them for you, or you want a hybrid of the two, we're really good at that. We're classed as the best. So again, if you've got automation right now and it's not quite giving you what you need, or you need some help from a buddy, then we can do that for you. So drop us a line. Be sure to access all our tips on our website. Keep an eye out for all of the webinars that we've run in the past. They're all on our website, and also the stuff that's coming up in the future. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today and spending some time with us. Get yourselves back into Bullhorn. Make it first in your day, not just when you've got a minute. Make sure you get some money out of it on a regular basis, and good luck digging out some jobs from the database. Let us know how you get on.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.